So matter enters the theory of relativity through the energy momentum tensor or T mu nu. The rub is that we know that matters behave according to the laws of quantum theory, which are at odds with the general theory of relativity. Without going into detail, we will review the basic ideas of quantum mechanics in this section. In quantum mechanics, everything we could possibly find out about a particle is contained in the state of the particle or system described by a wave function, C. The wave function is a solution of Schrödinger equation The wave function itself is not a real physical wave. Rather, it is a probability amplitude whose modulus square gives the probability that the particle or system is found in a given state. Note that the wave function can be complex. Measurable observable like position and momentum are promoted to mathematical operators in quantum mechanics. They act on states, i.e. on wave function, and must satisfy certain commutation rules. For example, position and momentum satisfy Furthermore, there exist an uncertainty principles that put constraint on the precision with which certain quantities can be known. Two important examples are position and momentum, and energy and time. So the more precisely we know the momentum of a particle, the less certain we are of its position and vice versa. The smaller the interval of time over which we examine a physical process, the greater the fluctuation in energy. When considering a system with multiple particles, we have a wave function C for x1, x2, till xn. Say where there are n particles with coordinates xi. It turns out that there are two basic types of particle depending on how the wave function behaves under particle interchange. This is the particle interchange. Considering the two-particle case for simplicity, if the sign of the wave function is unchanged under this, we say that the particle are bosons. Any number of bosons can exist in the same quantum states. On the other hand, if the exchange of the two particles induce a minus sign in the wave function, then we say that the particles in question are fermions. Fermions obey a constraint known as the Pauli exclusion principle. Which say that no two fermions can occupy the same quantum state. So while boson number can assume any value, the number of fermions that can occupy the quantum state is 0 or 1. That is, and not any other value. The first move at bringing quantum theory and relativity together in the same framework is done by combining quantum mechanics together with the special theory of relativity, and hence leaving gravity out of the picture. The result called quantum field theory. This is a spectacular scientific success that agrees with all non-experimental tests. In quantum field theory, space-time is filled with fields V that act as an operator. A given field can be Fourier expanded as this. Plus we then express the fields in terms of creation and annihilation operators by making transition this head and giving V hat x integral of okay. The field then creates and destroys particles that are quanta of the given field. We require that all quantities be Lorentz invariant. To get quantum theory more into the picture, we impose commutation relation on the fields and their conjugate momenta. Like this. Where P hat x is the conjugate momenta obtained from the field Vxt. Using standard techniques from Lagrangian mechanics. From the commutation relation and from the form of the fields, i.e. the creation and annihilation operators, you might glean that particle interaction take place at specific individual points in space-time. This is important because it means that particle interaction take place over zero distance. Particles in quantum field theory are point particles represented mathematically as located a single point. So the station is like this. This is two particles come in to interact. And this show that interaction occurs at a single point in space-time. So in particle physics, interaction occurs at a single point. Now, calculation in quantum field theory can be done using a perturbative expansion. Each term in the expansion describes a possible particle interaction, and it can be represented graphically using Feynman diagram. So for examples, we see two electrons scattering off each other in this picture. The Feynman diagram in this figure represents the lowest order term in the series, describing the amplitude for the process to occur. Taking more terms in the series, we add diagrams with more complex internal interaction that have the same initial and final state. So, for example, the exchange photon might turn into an electron-positron pair, which subsequently decay into another photon. The picture will look like this. So the photon turns into an electron-positron pair, which is the circle that subsequently annihilate, producing another photon. Interior process like that shown in this figure are called virtual. This is because they do not appear as an initial or final state. To find the actual amplitude for a given process to occur, we need to draw Feynman diagrams for every possible virtual process. That is, take all the terms in the series. In practice, we can take only as many terms as we need to get the accuracy desired in our calculation. This type of procedure works well in the electromagnetic weak and strong interaction. However, the overall procedure has some big problems, and they cannot be dealt with when gravity is involved. The problem comes down to the fact that interaction occur at a single space-time point. This leads to infinite result in calculation, or aptly called infinities. Technically speaking, the calculation of a given amplitude, which includes all virtual process, involves an integral over all possible values of momentum. This can be described by a loop integral that can be written in the form this. This is P is momentum. J here is a spin of the particle. And D, which is seen in the integration measure, is the dimension of space and time. Dimension okay. Now consider the quantity equal 4J plus D minus 8. If the momentum P approaching infinite, then this quantity is less than 0. Then I in the equation before is finite, and calculations give answer that makes sense. On the other hand, if the P approaching infinite but that quantity is bigger than 0, the integral in this equation is the integral in equation diverges. This leads to infinities in calculation. So now if I approaching infinity but does so slowly, then a mathematical technique called renormalization can be used to get finite results from calculations. Such is the case when working with established theories like quantum electrodynamics.